She sent me a text that said, "Your cancer scare is just drama. Manned up." My reply was short. "You're right." After that, I logged into my life insurance account and changed the beneficiary to the only person who had shown me genuine compassion lately, the nurse who held my arm when I shook. By the time my diagnosis came back as stage 3 lymphoma, Clara was already regretting her words. I'm 38, an architect by trade. My work revolves around structure, blueprints, and making sure the foundation is unshakable before anything else is built. I've always lived that way, carefully, logically. But lately it feels like I've found a crack in my own design, something unstable that could bring the whole thing down. Clara and I had been together for 5 years. She's 35, works as a social media manager, and her whole world is aesthetics, filters, captions, and chasing likes. Our lives looked good on the surface. My apartment, her curated lifestyle posts, conversations about rings and marriage. I thought we were solid, even though we're complete opposites. I prefer quiet evenings, old books, coffee shops. She prefers polished photos and staged perfection. A couple of months ago, I began to feel off, tired in a way that no amount of coffee could fix. Then one morning, while shaving, I felt a lump in my neck, hard, small, and immovable. It didn't hurt, but it didn't feel right either. I scheduled a doctor's appointment. Clara barely acknowledged it, told me it was probably just stress and a swollen gland. The doctor didn't dismiss it so easily. His voice grew serious. He said words like concerning and biopsy. That night I texted Clara. "Doctor's worried. They're scheduling a biopsy. I'm scared." Her reply took a full minute, those dots appearing and vanishing. Then came the message. "Leo, it's always something. Your cancer scare is just drama. Manned up. We have the resort deposit due Friday, remember? Focus on what matters." I read it again and again. Drama. Manned up. Resort deposit. That was what mattered to her. Not whether my body was betraying me. Something inside me didn't break. It froze. No anger, no yelling. Just a clear, cutting realization. Like looking at a design drawing and seeing it's structurally impossible. You don't try to salvage it. You crumple it up and start over. I typed 2 words back. "You're right." She sent me a thumbs-up emoji. The next morning, instead of heading to the office, I went to a cafe with my laptop. I logged into my Provident Life Insurance account. The policy is large, $750,000, enough to give security to someone if I didn't make it. Clara was listed as the beneficiary, of course. I clicked edit. My mind went back to the nurse at the clinic a few days earlier. Her name tag said Anna. She'd drawn my blood. Noticed the tremor in my hand while I signed forms. She rested her hand lightly on my arm and said, "Whatever the results are, you've got this. Be kind to yourself." It was professional, small, but it was the only real compassion I'd felt all week. I didn't know her last name, so I called the clinic, politely asked for it under the excuse of sending her a thank you card. Anna Sharma. That was her full name. Back on the insurance portal, I typed it in, beneficiary Anna Sharma. Relationship, friend. I entered the clinic's address, confirmed it, entered my 2-factor code, and got the green check mark. Beneficiary successfully updated. That same afternoon I had the biopsy. It was unpleasant, frightening, but the oncologist was kind. He said results would take a week. During that week, Clara never asked once. She was too busy sending me Instagram reels of resorts and stressing about her friend's wedding theme. I sat in silence, a bystander in my own life. The call finally came. The oncologist asked me to come in. Stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. Survival odds are good with treatment, they told me. 80 to 90%, but it won't be easy. Chemo, radiation, exhaustion, hair loss. A long fight. I sat in my car after the appointment. Same spot where I'd first texted Clara. Thinking about everything, the policy, Anna's kindness, Clara's cold message. Your cancer scare is just drama. Manned up. The scare was over. The fight was just beginning. And I had manned up, just not in the way Clara would expect. That night I told her. I sat her down on the couch she had picked out. Expensive, stylish, but impossible to get comfortable on. "Clara, we need to talk. The biopsy results are in." She didn't even look at me right away. 1 SEC, my cousin's freaking out about her caterer. Clara. Phone down. She let out an exaggerated sigh and dropped it on the cushion. Okay, what's up? It's cancer. Stage 3 lymphoma. I watched her face, searching for something. Fear, sadness, concern. Nothing. Just her calculating expression, as though she were adding columns in her head. Then she spoke. Oh my God. So the vacation is off. I just stared. Yes, Clara. The vacation is off. But we'll lose the deposit. That's $1,000, Leo. The cold clarity washed over me again. I think we have bigger issues than the deposit. That's when she shifted gears. She slid closer, placed her hand on my knee, her performance voice kicking in. Baby, of course. I'm just shocked. We'll fight this. We'll get through it together. You're not alone. The word we felt alien coming from her. When I'd been scared and waiting, she had been absent. But now that there was a stage, an audience, something she could spin into content, she was suddenly the devoted partner. The other night, the conversation turned to money. She was the one who brought it up, as usual, in that casual tone she uses when she's fishing for something. We should make sure everything's in order. Your will, your insurance, all that. It's just smart planning. I nodded, sipping some water. My mouth was dry, partly from the medication. I already updated my life insurance policy. Her face lit up with a proud smile. Good. My name is on everything, right? As your partner, it should be. I looked her in the eye. No. The sole beneficiary is now a woman named Anna Sharma. The smile froze on her lips before falling completely. What? Who the hell is Anna Sharma? This better be a joke. She's a nurse. She was there for me when I was terrified and you told me to man up. I swear, I've never seen someone's face morph so quickly. Concern slipped away, replaced with pure venom. Her carefully curated tone dropped into a low growl. You did what? Are you insane? You're going to leave $750,000 to some random nurse you barely know? After 5 years together? After everything I've invested? That money is ours. It's for our future. You made it clear what mattered to you. The resort deposit. Not me. So I made adjustments. She stood trembling, vibrating with fury. This is because you're sick. Your brain isn't working right. The chemo's making you delusional. I won't let you do this. I'm practically your next of kin. No. You're my girlfriend, Clara. And that position is being terminated. You have 30 days to move out. I'll even cover the movers. What followed was a storm. She screamed, cried crocodile tears, hurled threats, accused me of cheating with Anna. I didn't fight back. I didn't have the energy. I just sat there and let it wash over me until she was spent. Then I repeated, 30 days, Clara. The clock starts tonight. Since then she's been lingering. The apartment feels poisonous. She shifts between sulking silence and sugary performances of a perfect caretaker. See, Leo? I'm still here. I love you. Don't I deserve to be taken care of? She'll say, tucking in a blanket or fluffing a pillow. I don't respond. She doesn't understand. This isn't bargaining. It's demolition. The structure is rotten, and I'm tearing it down. When the 30 days passed, she still hadn't left. Instead, she escalated. Her new game? Telling everyone I'm no longer mentally capable of making sound choices. She planted this with her mother, who called me, syrupy concern dripping through the phone. Leo, honey, Clara says you're not yourself. The treatments are clouding your judgment. Maybe let her handle finances until you're stronger? I shut that down quickly. My mind is fine. Thanks for the concern. Then I ended the call. Next came her brother, Damon. He showed up one night while I was wrecked from chemo. He strutted in like he was some corporate attorney, not a car salesman. Leo, we need to talk man to man. You're screwing over my sister. She stood by you. And now you're obsessed with some nurse. You need to sign power of attorney over to Clara. It's the right thing to do. He slid an actual document across the coffee table. The arrogance was unreal. I laughed, weak but real. Get out of my house. You're making a mistake. We'll have you declared incompetent. A judge will see you're not fit. Then file the paperwork. Let me know what your lawyer says. Now leave. The next morning, I had a new deadbolt installed. Code access only. I gave Clara written notice. Her key was useless, and she had 48 hours before she'd be trespassing. But she wasn't done. Yesterday, I came home from treatment and saw her finally packing. Relief washed over me, until I noticed my study door cracked open. The shelves where my collection of vintage sci-fi pulps once sat were empty. My heart dropped. Those magazines, worth maybe $40,000, were more than collectibles. They were memories. My grandfather introduced me to them. They were my passion. I found her in the living room, taping a box. "Clara, where are my magazines?" Without even looking at me, she said, "I put them in storage. For safekeeping." "What do you mean? Where are they?" "You're sick, Leo. You might do something stupid, sell them cheap. I'm protecting your assets. You'll get them back once you fix the insurance beneficiary and apologize for how you've treated me." She was holding my history hostage. My grandfather's gift. My legacy. For money. The anger that came wasn't the same exhausted frustration I'd been drowning in. It was sharp, icy, and crystal clear. I pulled out my phone. "Clara, you have 60 seconds to tell me where my collection is, or I'm calling the police and reporting felony theft. Their value is well above the grand larceny threshold." Her smug face wavered. "You wouldn't. I am a man with stage 3 cancer, and a very clear understanding of what matters. Those magazines matter. You don't." 50 seconds. I opened the timer app and let it tick down in front of her. She stared, watching the seconds vanish. For a few days, I let her play her part. She paraded around, making kale smoothies I couldn't keep down, posting cryptic but inspirational captions about facing life's battles, with heavily filtered old photos of us. Her followers sent hearts, comments, "You're so strong." She was thriving in the glow of performative struggle, while I was quietly sinking into the reality of chemo and the fight ahead. When her confident smirk faded and panic took over, I knew she finally realized she had lost. She thought she could drag things out like a game of emotional chicken, but what she didn't know was that I had already let go of the steering wheel long before she did. By the 15th second of silence, she broke. Her voice cracked as she blurted out the truth, that the magazines were hidden in a storage unit, number 218 at Lock It Up just down the street. She insisted she only did it to make me see sense. I recorded that confession, then immediately sent her a copy of it myself. My response was short, final, and unshakable. "Your belongings must be out of my apartment by tomorrow at noon. At 12:01, a locksmith will change the locks. If you or your brother attempt to contact me or my family again, I'll file for a restraining order. This is finished." That night, instead of sleeping, I buried myself in research, lawyers, restraining orders, eviction laws, everything I needed to know to shield myself. I was done playing defense. I wasn't just taking back my life. I was fortifying it. Fast forward. This is the last chapter. It's all over now. First, my health. A month ago, I finished my last round of chemo. A PET scan just last week came back clear. No trace of disease. I'm in remission. Saying the word feels fragile, like handling glass that could shatter if I breathe too hard, but it's the most beautiful word I've ever said. I'm not at full strength yet, but for the first time in over a year, I'm walking towards something instead of running from it. As for Clara, she didn't vanish without a fight. True to form, she refused to hand over the key to the storage unit, still believing she had leverage. I took her to small claims court. Suddenly, she had no leverage at all. The hearing was almost laughable. I came with everything. Receipts proving ownership of some of the rarer issues, a professional appraisal valuing the collection at just over $41,000, the audio recording of her admitting she took them, and even a text where I directly demanded their return. Clara, representing herself, stood there spinning a ridiculous story about how she was only protecting me as a sick man from mismanaging my own property. She even dragged her mother in as a character witness. The judge, a sharp-eyed woman who looked like she'd heard every excuse under the sun, listened patiently. Then she cut Clara's story to pieces with one question. "So your defense is that you took property worth over $40,000 from its legal owner without permission, and refused to give it back, because you thought he might mishandle it?" Clara's response: I was just trying to help, was the nail in her coffin. The judge didn't hesitate. Judgment in my favor for the full $41,250 plus court costs. 30 days to pay, or I could initiate collections. Clara's jaw dropped. The ruling became a lien against her. Now, every time she applies for a loan or credit card, my name will flash as a reminder of her greed. She eventually surrendered the storage key, and I recovered my magazines. That collection is safe with me again, right where it belongs. But Clara wasn't done embarrassing herself. A few weeks later, she ambushed me outside my building. She looked worn down, her polished Instagram persona crumbling. She cried, stammered, claimed she'd made a mistake, that fear drove her actions, and that she still loved me. She even suggested that my remission was a sign that we should start fresh. And then, of course, slipped in a question about whether the insurance money was still there. For the first time, I didn't feel anger, just a flicker of pity. Not for her as she stood there, but for the version of her she could have been if she hadn't hollowed herself out chasing status and money. I told her the truth plainly. The life you want never existed. You don't love me. You love what I could give you. When I was staring at death, you didn't see me, you saw numbers on a spreadsheet. When I needed support, you sent me a thumbs up emoji. My life is no longer yours to touch. I stepped around her and left. That was the last time. I blocked her everywhere. Now my life is quiet again. Peaceful. I'm rebuilding my strength, my career, and my sense of self. And there's Anya, the nurse. She was the one I impulsively named as the beneficiary of my insurance policy during that darkest week. I felt I owed her an explanation. About a month ago, I went back to the clinic, not as a patient this time, but as someone wanting closure. I found her on her lunch break and told her everything. The diagnosis, the panic-driven decision, and why her small act of kindness had meant more to me than she could have known. I admitted I was ready to change the paperwork, but I wanted her to understand why I chose her name in the first place. I told her that in the week when I felt less than human, her compassion had given me back a piece of myself. She sat quietly listening, her expression unreadable. When I finished, she paused, then smiled faintly. Keep it. Don't change a thing. Live a long, boring, happy life and make sure I never see a single penny of it. Deal. I laughed and agreed. Since then we've had coffee a few times just as friends. She's genuine, funny, loves hiking, and owns a ridiculous dog. There's no romance here, no Hollywood ending. Just a solid, simple friendship. And right now that's more than enough. The $750,000 policy is still in her name. And I plan to live so long and so well that she'll never see it until decades from now. That to me feels like the sweetest revenge.